college.
No, it's because it's still new. Some of these schools have actually. Here we go. We're running. Hey, folks, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Trailer Park Show. We are glad to be here. And it is a very nice, cool group today that we get to have. So,
just the three of us? Yeah.
Just the three of us. It's just us. It's the group here. We had our guest that was coming in, as we mentioned last week, but unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, thanks to Hurricane Harvey, she was not able to come in. So we wish her the best of luck. We hope everything goes well with her. But in the meantime, you have a conversation with us and an empty chair sitting right behind Pokey. We were expecting another person to actually come join us. But due to technical difficulties beyond our control and beyond that person's other control, you're stuck with us for the day. So, but welcome back. We're glad to be here. Across from me, we have Pokey, who's trying to figure out how to use his phone again. And then, of course, we have Anthony Gwynn, who's one of the sponsors of the show.
Hold on here. I'm trying to find our theme song. We never play no more. Remember Copperhead Row?
Yeah.
Well, we just changed it to Trailer Park Row.
Well, yeah, but you know, we're not talking about weed today.
Can't be talking about weed today, huh?
We're not talking about weed. We're gonna be talking about stuff within the weeds, but not the full weed part of it.
Well, we never play it no more because.
Your Fox News piece, you want me to play? Forget it.
Why?
Because it's got some funky thing that virusing my computer.
No, it's not.
You want to come in and see what it does? You think I'm lying? You think I'm lying about it? Come
It's
in
Ted
and see what
Cruz
it does.
talking about Houston.
So
Well,
you
that's
can
okay.
forget about that. It's got some kind of funky thing on it. I'm not.
Oh, does it?
So, do we have the other one that we can play in a bit?
I can play his.
Okay, cool.
You can play at least one of them, huh?
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so, I mean, hey, we're batting 50% on the videos. We're good right now. That's the great part about it.
Let's stick with that, huh?
But but it's been an interesting week since we came back. I mean, or since we were on the last time. It was. I mean, granted, we now know that you prefer. That you like seeing bald guys around here on the show. That
Yeah.
You decided to go in and take action on that.
I didn't exactly shave it all, but I've gotten where I do this now because when it gets long enough, you got to start combing it.
Yeah.
Just shave it off. I guess I'm getting to be lazy is what it is.
I don't know about shaving it or not shaving it.
By just cutting it as short as it'll possibly cut.
Well, you just want
Buzz
you
cut.
just want to have that little remembrance of what it looked like and what it felt like to have hair. I do that every 3 days.
Is
On
that right?
weekends, yes, I let it grow out and then on
Maybe
and
I
then
will try.
Monday mornings I
You know,
start crying and
I might have to do that. I tease my wife. She loves The Rock, and he has no hair. She loves Vin Diesel. I think, do you want me to cut my hair? And she's like, no. Well, why do you like The Rock so much?
because he has muscles and he has money
But he
Hey,
has
even
bald
I
hair
like The
too.
I like his movies.
and he has tattoos. So maybe you can compromise though. You can compromise with the tattoo.
Well, she doesn't like tattoos. No,
Ah, come
she
on.
does not like tattoos.
Really?
I
But she
wish
likes
my
the-
lady didn't like
But
tattoos.
she likes the rock. Come on.
You're right. She likes his muscles, I guess.
See, it's either the money or the muscles.
I just like his movies.
Yeah, his movies are good.
Ain't nothing like Fast and Furious. It's a shame the guy had to go out there and kill himself.
Right.
Yeah, he thought he was a
Tom.
real driver.
Right.
He said, no, that was in the movies, fool. You
Right.
ain't supposed to go out the street and act like that.
Hey, he was
Well, they
right.
recreated him in the last one, with the digital animation.
No, did they?
And they put him in the movie, and it looked realistic. You couldn't really tell that.
Well, they
it
got to
was
kill him
computer.
off because he can't come back in Fast and Furious 8 or whatever's next.
9, 10.
9?
Yeah.
Some movies do not make good sequels. Like you can't make a Jaws 2. I mean, I don't know what Jaws is one of my all-time favorite for something that's composed, created, produced. Jaws is it. I mean, it's got a real.
Well, they had
That's hard.
2 or 3 of them, didn't they?
Yeah, but they were no good.
Only the first. Yeah, the
Yeah.
original one was.
The original
was
one-
the best.
That's a
Yeah,
classic.
right.
The rest of them ain't nothing. But Fast and Furious,
Yeah,
it's
they're-
almost
they're
like the other one. What's his name? The guy that didn't know who he is, and he's going out, and he's just a spy guy.
Oh, Mission Impossible.
No,
Oh, the Born Identity.
yeah,
Identity.
Bourne.
Yeah.
Jason Bourne.
Born Supremacy. Born
Yeah.
Identity, Born Ultimatum.
All his
yeah.
movies have been good.
Yeah.
You
Those
just
are
like
good
things
series.
blowing up. That's the thing.
Well, I just like action adventure movies
Okay. Well, there you go.
instead of them whatever it is that Mama likes.
Chick flicks.
Chick
yeah.
flicks.
What are you then?
Come
on.
So, horror movies.
She does like horror movies.
In case
Okay.
you guys haven't been able to hear, she's
If we're
telling us
doing
that
movie reviews, come on out here and tell us yours.
I am a horror movie, not slice and dice, but a good
Oh.
horror movie.
Classic horror movies like
Pinhead. I like
Pinhead, I did like that one too. Is that right? Is that Hellraiser Pinhead?
Exorcist was
You gotta
pretty
move in a little
good.
bit.
But I don't like the slice and dice.
You don't like Saw, the Saw series.
Yeah, I don't
kinda like
the
that
Saw
one.
was all right, but I don't like the Mike Myers. You know, they're all the same thing. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. Oh, didn't you I'm gonna run away?
I liked
Yeah.
the Pinhead. What was that one called?
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser. That was pretty good.
It's got to be good. It can't be just something cheesy like the slice and dice.
I liked the
The Halloween
vampires
movies,
and
the other one,
werewolves.
Leprechaun. I love Leprechaun.
Pretty good. All right,
All right.
and we get carried. I like movies though. I've been watching more and turning off the computer.
But I'm not a
Hell,
chick
this
flick
work.
girl. Never have been, never will be.
So before we continue, I want to be able to just. I was advised that my mic is a little bit low there, so I'm bringing it up just a little bit closer to me, just in case. So, real quick, if I may, I just want to say hi to a couple of people. I want to say hi to my wonderful wife.
Oh, hold on. Who are we supposed to say hi to?
You don't want me to say hi to my wife?
Yeah, I do, but I'm supposed to say hi to somebody.
Come on.
Hello, Henry and Amanda.
Oh yeah, Henry and Amanda. Go ahead. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Wait. One more thing.
Let him say hi to his wife first, Mo.
No, it's
Okay,
okay.
well-
You want to interrupt me on that one? That's okay. She'll
Go.
take care of you guys afterwards, not
Go,
me.
go. You
Okay,
say
go ahead,
hello.
take care.
Hello, Mrs. Gabriel. How are you? Nice seeing you. All right.
Yeah. What's his name?
Starting the second week in September, we're going to be seen from 7:30 to 8:30. We're shifting a little bit in our time slot. So anyways, 7:30 to 8:30 beginning, I think September 10th. And that's where we're going to be, 7:30 to 8:30. They've changed things down here a little bit.
Second Monday next month.
7:30 to 8:30, the second week at Monday in September.
There you go.
Alrighty.
What do y'all got, kitties or
Well,
something?
no. We just like, you know what
Look,
it is?
he's way over here. I know he smells.
No, it's not that. It's just we like the distance.
Well, we were
like comfort.
expecting a fourth person and
You know, unfortunately.
Got room just in case.
So,
Were you saying something about
tattoos.
Uh-huh.
Don't embarrass me anymore, Mo.
Look at that beautiful Steelers
Go up there so they
tattoo.
can see your damn Steelers
I
fan.
got an extra seat to the Texans game because he ain't
I
going.
can't go. It's
Christmas Day, 3:30. Wine and dine me. That's all you have to do, and you gotta drive me.
yeah,
Free
maybe
ticket.
maybe
wine,
you
dine,
can.
and drive me, huh? That's kind of the new phrase now. Already. So,
If you want to keep her, that's fine too. But just give me the. You know,
already. So,
I wouldn't get that lucky, would I?
So I was gonna say hi to a couple of people. Normally, my wife is here with us
Yeah.
watching the show. So I wanted to say hi to my wife and Princess Sofia, and also Angelica, who's going back to school this semester. So hopefully everything goes well with her. But normally they're here and watching, but you know they're not. So they had to take care of some stuff and get ready for school tomorrow. So anybody you want to say hi to?
I'd say hello to my wife, but she doesn't watch the show.
Really? Why not? Why does she watch? What?
She thinks I talk about Trump too much, so she can't stand the guy, and she doesn't even want to hear me
Well,
say
we have
anything neutral about him. So
Who don't like Trump? Who don't like Trump?
well, my
Even
wife
people
doesn't like
that
Trump.
hate him don't like it.
That and several people in Houston. We can, if you want, we can start off talking about what's been going on in Texas. which
Well,
is
we
big-
can't play
which
that
has made,
film. That was a good. You sure you can't play that, Mo?
She can't play it right now because there's some issues with it. So, obviously, for everybody that hasn't been watching, or you haven't been watching the news, you've been living under a rock, you've been missing out on a lot.
That's what you get when
with
you
what's
smoke too
going
much
on
of that
with,
stuff that they grow in the trailer park.
Well, that too, which is why we won't play the video.
That's why we won't play the about growing in the trailer park.
So we had our Hurricane Harvey, who is it's been identified as the worst hurricane in what 50 to 100 years.
They're saying it's epic.
21
yeah.
years. No, since Carla in '61,
Yeah, there you go.
which I was there for that one too.
You were there, so
In
was
Houston?
thunder that bad?
Yeah,
or-
it was. I don't know. I was like 6 years old, 7 years old.
Gotcha.
I do remember it though.
So then you got to remember stuff about it.
A lot of rain, a lot of high wind,
Gotcha.
and we were in the south side of Houston too, so that was.
And you know what was kind of interesting is that 10 years ago, or about 10 years ago, we had Katrina come in,
Right?
and I was living in El Paso when that happened, and so we got to see some of the stuff that was going on. I remember some of I hate calling them refugees. It just sounds so bad, or even it sounds bad. They're
Displaced persons.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot. I mean, seriously, I heard that on KLBJ today, or this evening on the way over here. Are the Texas refugees? I'm like, no, they're
not
people.
refugees.
They're people. They're Texans. They're Americans. Whatever you want to call them. The people that suffered. Yeah, I remember when they went to El Paso, they filled up one of the civic center that they have there. It was very intriguing, and being this close to Houston, it's actually affected me a lot more from a family standpoint, because I actually have family in Houston that come in and are doing and so they're getting affected by what's going on. But it was one of those, just to watch it start and watch it happen. It was it was very intriguing for me, because I didn't get to do that with Katrina.
Well, I watched Katrina, and I remember it was a very similar thing. The storm came, but I remember it was on the History Channel or something like 5 years before that talked about the perfect storm, or I think it was the Weather Channel.
That's what they called this one, supposedly, this perfect
And
storm.
it was about, a hurricane going just west of New Orleans and dumping all this rain. And if it fills Lake Pontchartrain, it could overflow the banks, fill up the city. And I remember that from 5 years ago. And then it actually happened with Katrina. And then I remember the storm passing, and it was no big deal. But Lake Pontchartrain filled up, and it broke the levees, and it filled New Orleans, and became this huge devastation and the Superdome. And this is not exactly that, but it's similar, where Houston has had 20, 30, 40 inches of rain.
It's horrible, and they're going to get some more when this thing curves back up. But the house that his mother lived in used to be an island down there. Well, now you can call the roof the island. But question, I'll throw it out there, and y'all can comment. Do you think the mayor of Houston handled that properly?
I was going to bring that part up. I was going to ask about that question. For those that are wondering about that part, Scott Turner, who is the mayor, who was a former state representative, now mayor, Democrat.
I think all city mayors are Democrat.
And I think there's one in El Paso. I think he's actually Republican.
Oh, really?
Oddly enough, yeah. I think that's what, at least that's what
And
we've
I
been
know
told.
Anyway.
that Greg Abbott asked for them to evacuate
Right.
2 or 3 days ahead of time.
Right.
And Chief Acevedos is now the chief there. It's weird to see him in Houston
I'm
as
glad
their
he's over
chief.
there. I'm glad he's over there, to be honest with you. But yeah, I was going to ask about that part. What, your thoughts? Did the city mess up after Abbott said get out?
I was thinking about that, and I understand their reasoning. The storm, the eye of the storm was in the Corpus Christi area, which is a 3 hours drive away. So they probably figured, well, it's not the eye. But anybody that follows these storms knows that the worst of the weather is in the northeast quadrant. So they knew all the rain would fall 2 to 3 hours away from the center, and they should have been able to anticipate it. But our focus is always, where's the eye going to go? And so they go, well, it's in Corpus Christi. We shouldn't have to worry about it. Greg Abbott did say, if you can leave, leave. In hindsight, it probably was a better decision to leave instead of getting rescued. There's 4 to 5 million people in Houston. That's 5 times as many as in Austin. And to try to move that many people, it's a difficult challenge. So anytime that you can make that, look, I live in Pflugerville. They did a 2-hour delay in school today. For what?
Yeah, a little rain. Huh?
For a little rain. The roads were perfectly dry, and they knew this storm was going. So, and apparently some people died when, that last storm happened just on the road because the roads were jammed. So it's a tough decision. So I'm sympathetic for the mayor making that decision. I think that if I were to do it again, I would ask them to evacuate. It makes a lot of sense.
What about you, Pokey?
A lot of people say that we really shouldn't politicize this, and they're correct. But I like the history, and Bush cut all that crap.
Yeah.
While Mayor Nagin doing whatever he was doing, he told all the people New Orleans is in a bowl. It's like 6 feet below sea level. And he didn't tell the people anything. And finally, he told them to go to the convention center or the Superdome. He didn't bother to send any water, food, blankets, nothing. He just told people to go there. All those buses underwater that we saw, you could have been shipping them people to Baton Rouge. You could at least sent some water and supplies, diapers, to the Superdome. He made no preparations at all, and which is surprising because New Orleans is a far different place, animal than Houston. Houston's just flat with a bunch of bayous that overflow everywhere. So that was really bad, and that's why you almost have to politicize it. I really think the mayor of Houston could have handled this a lot better. by simply preparing better for the worst. And if you have all this stuff left over, so what? You know, you got a bunch of bottled water hanging around at the Astrodome or something.
And then there's been price gouging and
Price gouging.
They had the evacuation plan for Corpus and Rockport, where certain sections
Corpus and
would
Rockport,
go
yeah.
on certain days. You know, you knew this thing.
Yeah,
might
they had plans out down there in
Yeah.
Corpus and Rockport. He could have done a lot different in Houston. He could have made a lot better for preparation just in case. And now it turns out he would have been.
Well,
correcting
Austin
himself.
was ready for them. I think I saw that the
Yeah.
mayor said they had like 2,000 volunteers and only 200 people showed up at
They could
the
have packed a whole
at
bunch
the
in our
place.
convention
Right, there's more
center with
volunteers
water and
than
blankets
escapees. So
and all that kind of stuff. Real quick here,
more, and this will be
there hasn't been any. Hold on, let me finish here. There hasn't been any looting down there like there was in New Orleans.
Give it a while.
Well, everybody in Texas got
Yeah.
guns, so you know.
One other thing I'd like to say. Thank you, Charles Butt and Craig Boyan of HEB for getting everything rolling out there.
They had a whole convoy.
They had a
18
whole
wheelers going
convoy
south.
in the soup kitchen. So thank you, Mr. Butt and Mr. Boyan.
2 18
I appreciate what you did, and I love working for you.
Oh, you work at HEB?
Huh?
you work at HEB?
I work at HEB.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I did go to HEB on Friday and Saturday, and my little one, they were out of water, they were out of milk, they were out of eggs. I went to an HEB Plus, and then they had it.
The one on 35
Our store did
rationed
really
it out.
well. Our store did really well. We had plenty of water, and they doled it out during the day, so
They
they
didn't stock
limited
the
the
shelves
amount
over-
that you could
over-
take.
Yeah,
in the store.
they had a sign for.
The bread
only.
was a different story. The bread got raided, and but we held up pretty good for it, you know. So I have to say, whoever had the foresight to order the extra water or whatever, we managed to do real good.
And I didn't see any gouging at HEB. The water still costs.
No, there's a picture
$2 or
on
$3
bucks.
Facebook of somewhere where they got like $8 for a gallon of gas somewhere.
Yeah, there was
Oh,
price
really?
gouging
And
gas.
like $9.99 or not. And somebody said on the radio $100 for a bottle of water, a case of
Yeah,
water.
it's probably at somebody's house.
Probably.
It was on
Report
Craigslist.
it to Craig or to Ken Paxton, and he'll
Lowe's mini
prosecute.
store or something like that, you know. But you know the price gouging, y'all need to report that to the Attorney General, I think, right?
Yep, Ken Paxton.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether he does anything or not, he's probably still got to deal with his court case. But here's what I was looking at that part. Hey, Miss Pokey, can you raise the volume on my mic? Miss Pokey?
Oh,
Miss Pokey, can you raise the volume on my mic just a little bit? Me?
Oh, you getting some feedback?
Yes.
there's the
I'm a soft speaker, but apparently,
just raise the volume.
just raise the volume on mine, please. Or raise again. Okay. Okay, cool. This works. Thank you. So,
How's the rest of us sound? This evening?
everybody's fine. Is everybody? I mean, you yell. Come on.
Yeah,
you and
actually,
Mrs. Pokey yell. You know. So, so here's my problem with the whole thing. He's at fault. Scott Turner, the mayor, he's at fault for that stuff. You know why? Because all he had to do was just say. He could have picked up the phone and say, "Hey, Abbott, what's going on here? Why are you saying why are you saying this right now? We know what's going on over here. Can you scale it back just a little bit?" No, he didn't want to do that part. Okay, it sucks is the fact that he's doing this because he's politicizing. He's like, well, we know better. It's like, no, you don't. You were a state representative before you became a mayor. What were you doing during all this other stuff? You were sitting at the Capitol doing nothing. Okay, and now we have people that are dead because of it. I mean, you have the nursing home where you have the people that were sitting there in water. I mean, you have a lady that was knitting. God bless that woman. Oh my God, you know, she's knitting, and you have another person that's standing up, and they're waiting to die. I mean, literally, they were just waiting to die, and he doesn't care. If he did, he would have told everybody to get them the hell out of here. And which brings the question.
The place didn't care either. It looks like,
exactly. What happened? You had to get a family member from Florida to go ahead and say, "Hey, can you help these people out?" Where the hell was the owner? I mean, you got that one, and then I mean,
California,
probably in that case. But you have I was watching the news on Sunday. And there was a guy that they were reporting on ABC where he was sitting by his shopping cart in a park, not wanting to leave his shopping cart. Now, granted, he probably didn't have the.
homeless or?
We don't know. We don't know on that part. It might have been one of those situations where he probably didn't have an opportunity to leave or whatever the case may be. But he died there. You have a family of 6, 4 kids. 4 of them died in a flood because they were trying to escape, but because of the water, the rising waters, they drowned. That's on him.
Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't. That
Well,
was
you
in
heard the
Houston.
warning. Don't go in your attic. But if you do go in your attic, bring an axe because we don't want you to get trapped in there.
Exactly.
Like who?
Exactly. These guys should have done better. And the funny part, like I read an article, I read something about CNN that was asking, they softball that damn question to them. You know, and Abbott's kind of downplaying the whole thing. He's like, well, we got everything working together. He should have just gone after them and said, no, the SOB did this. I said this. He decided to go against me on that part. Now look what happened. But no, I know he's trying to play nice.
Yeah, he
wants
was playing nice.
He wants
I
to play.
mean,
He wants to be governor. He wants to be elected again. I get it, but he still should have gotten upset about the whole damn thing because it's now in his hands also. It's on his hand. I mean, you can put the blame on Abbott for that one also. It's like, come on, really? You're
Some
gonna
of
be
the Republicans ain't got no.
Well, you got to give CNN credit for at least asking the question.
But they soft. I mean, they sort. I mean, what you know what they did? They said here.
Well, they're asking it.
We're gonna ask why this happened.
Yeah.
Instead of getting upset about that whole thing, like they normally do with and your wife's gonna get upset for me saying this, but because when they go after the whole Trump situation, they did not go after Scott the mayor at this one at all. They just asked and they're like, oh well,
Go after Nagin in New Orleans, barely.
Well, because he had $100,000 sitting in the freezer.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that part. He had called it cold cash.
He had literally cold cash.
Literally cold cash.
Well, what I was really disappointed about, and we'll bring this around to politics a little bit, is on Friday, when the news broke that the hurricane was coming, what was the news on CNN? It was, can you believe this news dump that Trump made a pardon,
yeah.
right? And Greco, his senior advisor, was fired, and there was some other news, but the pardon was the big news. And they're like, Trump is doing this during this cycle, and is he doing it purposely? And during this hurricane, when it was already foreshadowed. Trump said at the Arizona campaign speech that he was going to pardon him, so we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
He just made the official announcement 3 days later on Friday, but the whole news cycle that night was they're trying to intertwine, Trump pardoned this guy, but they weren't covering the hurricane that much until Saturday and Sunday. And then finally on Sunday, it was all hurricane. But even on Saturday morning, they were still talking about the pardon and the news dump that they were trying to hide. But Trump said something really interesting today when he was asked about it. He said that he did it purposely, that he wanted higher ratings. More people heard about it because they were tuning in to the hurricane. So they heard about the pardon because they can't stop talking about what Trump is doing. And that's kind of a strange logic.
Remember what I told you during that meetup conversation that we had in here, and I said he was basically playing these puppet. He's basically the puppeteer. He's doing that. That's all it is. He's just dinking around with the news media just to go ahead and upset them. But it's just phenomenal that they were concentrating on all this other stuff when they had real situations.
They had real news.
They had real news that was going on, and they could have taken care of what was happening there. They could have been out there doing more stuff, and they chose to not do that part.
Can you get on Facebook?
What's going on Facebook? Do we have breaking news? Oh man! Yeah, so over here, guys. So in case people that are listening outside or watching outside of Travis County, yes, we did get a lot of rain. We didn't get we got a lot of wind. We weren't as negatively affected as Houston was. They had. You said, 20 inches about there?
20, 30, yeah. At my house, I got a weather gauge. I got 6 inches on Saturday and another 4 inches on Sunday. Had about 10 inches of rain. It was slow and steady, but, we were fine. Our neighbors lost their fence. I saw a few trees blown down, but nothing like in Houston or Rockport.
Next to Bergstrom, and Bergstrom got about 10 inches of rain, so.
Yeah.
We're not far from the airport. They got 10 inches, so.
Yeah.
So on Crack Street, I take it nobody was making a lot of deals over there. So the cops were probably busy taking care of other stuff down in Dove Springs with all the.
There was plenty of traffic on Crack Street, but
they weren't doing a lot of stops, right?
No.
Which is good. I mean, it was probably one of the quietest nights out there for you.
Probably.
Or quietest weekends ever. So it was just one of those phenomenal things. I mean, here we had some road closures. Obviously, we had I think a tree that was knocked out and a few other things. I mean, I live in Manor, and we the biggest part that affected us was the fact that the schools were closed on Monday and I mean today, and even Dow Valley, which I can justify. I mean, it's legitimately why they do that in Dow Valley, because with all that rain, they don't have a proper sewers. The sewer system over there is horrible over there. I mean, so you get a lot of flooding. Remember that we had the flood
It might come back
2
up
years
the
ago.
toilet.
No. Remember the flood that we had 2 years ago here?
Yeah.
So
the Memorial Day flood.
yeah, where we had
We had like 6 inches of rain in
we
like
had 2 people
4
drown.
hours.
We had a family, I think a brother drowned and a couple other people that had drowned in those rains. And this is the one actually I think in September. Was it September?
It wasn't a Halloween.
There was a
flood,
Memorial and there was a Halloween.
one.
Yeah.
There was a Halloween one. There was a couple of people that drowned because of the rising waters, and people were concerned about what was going to happen over there, and rightfully so. I mean, even with the new developments that they have out there, I mean, you're still going to have some problems with the flooding out there.
Well, Pflugerville delayed for 2 hours, and I thought it wasn't necessary, but I heard that they had some new schools built, and they had leaks in the school.
And there was a
So-
road closure actually nearby one of the schools off of Weiss.
Weiss Lane. Yeah, well, that's where the new schools are.
there you
I
go.
should go drive by there and check it out for myself.
Yeah.
Apparently so, yeah.
Top-notch contractors out there, don't they?
Well, they built 3 new schools in the last year very quickly, and they got tested
roof
this last weekend. So had to shut down for a couple hours.
But that's okay. That's okay. I mean, the way I look at it, it was one of those safety. It was the well-being of the kids versus the well-being of whatever. But you have to make sure that the kids are safe and that the roadways are going to be comfortable for the buses. And the other schools that were shut down, Manor and Dow Valley, they go back to school tomorrow. And so,
you guys were totally canceled. Yeah.
Oh well, in Dow Valley, yeah, they were completely closed, and they open up again tomorrow. Maynard's doing this exact same thing. They're back to normal operating schedule tomorrow, and then they kind of go from there.
Well,
so.
I'm from New York, and we'd have 4 inches of snow, and we still had to go to school.
Well,
It always
yeah.
pissed me off as kids that we needed 6 inches, windy and blowing, before they would shut down school.
Well, you know why,
And
right?
here it's like the anticipation of, and this is the middle of summer, but I could, they shut down our schools with the anticipation of a snowstorm that never happens,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of the same thing. It's just a little water.
Well,
you know?
well, the main reason why is because there's actually 2 reasons why. One, the roads aren't prepared for that. They don't know how the roads aren't made for
realize
snow.
that.
And 2, we don't have the equipment. I mean, remember the ice apocalypse of 2016 or 2015.
Right.
They had to bring in they had to bring in sand trucks just to go from Houston, I think. Just to go ahead and get the roads all taken care of. It was just one of those
It's
situations
just
you're
hard
like,
for me
really?
to understand sometimes.
I understand that part, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like
Getting
it's
your snow
nothing.
around the ground here, and everybody's...
Right. No, I realize it's done probably for the right reasons, but from where I came from, it had to be pretty bad to shut down the schools. And,
Well, yeah.
And we always hoped for a snow day as kids, and we never got them because
It was only 4 inches.
yeah, it was
5
only 4
inches.
inches, and it wasn't blowing and drifting.
But we will be posting on the face. We will be posting on the Trailer Park Show some pages where you can actually donate to certain areas.
On Facebook, Trailer Park Show,
On
right?
yes, where you can where you can give if you so choose to, where you can volunteer. The Travis County Republican Party has posted a link or different areas where you can go help out on a daily basis. So we'll make sure.
Bush's office, I think is one of them.
Yeah, there's a couple of places where you can go ahead and participate and be able to lend a hand wherever you can. And even if it's local here, I think the biggest part we have to look at is Dove Springs. And in all reality, as to that will probably be the area that's going to be negatively affected. I haven't talked to Robert Kibbe in a while about that part, but there
I
was
think Onion Creek came out of this okay somehow.
really, wow. I got to say this, I am
Mostly
glad.
east of 35, so.
Yeah, well, Onion Creek usually does. But when I looked on they got the little map of the graph.
Mm-hmm.
It went above flood stage for a little while, but by last night it was down below flood stage on their graph.
Good.
So
That's always a good thing on that part.
yeah,
So
but anything like the Halloween flood, it washed everything away.
yeah, that is
You
true.
were out there, huh?
Yeah. That was one. Yeah, that was one of them that we were there. But there was a couple. I mean, we had a couple of other ones that were affected.
It wasn't quite that
Springs.
devastating, the other ones.
Right. So, Let's go ahead and move on to a different area. Let's talk a little bit more about some more interesting things that are going on locally. I mean, we have elections that are coming up this November.
Before we go to the election thing, Ken Martin, the Austin Bulldog. Mm-hmm. I don't know if y'all saw that. I posted about Central Health District had these open houses, 2 of them this month, and nobody showed up. 8, 9 people. What's his name? Our buddy did.
Richard Franklin.
Richard Franklin, of course, he always shows up. About how racist everything is.
I've duked it out with him online.
You might have a point or two there.
Well, you know what it is that when they passed the bill or when they passed the Central Health District, they didn't. The people that voted on it were lied to. Plain and simple. I mean, what's the money being used for? It's to fund for the school.
Oh, that's that 10 cents county tax
Yeah.
for that Dell's university thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what the money's
And
going
then you can't
to.
go in there and get like.
Well, that's what I want to know. Why did I pay for that? That tax is exactly the same as the ACC tax. In Pflugerville, we don't have ACC rights. We can't go to ACC for cheaper because we're out of district.
Right.
Well, I looked at my statement and I see this 10 cents tax, which is, I thought it was the ACC. I was, no, it's the Central Health District. So I was like, what is this for?
Yeah, they're not doing it. They're not.
What do we
providing it.
get?
I mean, seriously, think about it. They and I remember some of the comments that were said about some of those meetings is that they're not they've got like minimal help to help individuals out there, but they're not building anything except for the buildings, the medical school that's going on for UT. El Paso did the exact same thing when they built that school. They have a Texas Tech over there for the college.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same process. They're not helping out anybody. They're there to go ahead and make sure that they got money to raise funds. And then once they go ahead and build up enough money to go ahead and do that part, then they'll go ahead and start providing possibly for indigent care. But we're already paying that already to the county under the MAP program.
Hold on, back up just a minute. Indigent care. Now this, if I'm correct, this means low-income people, right?
Correct. It technically,
Why did you
yes.
say that?
Well, no, technically, yes. But it's also people that are making enough money to go ahead and have a life, if you will, and one traumatic situation causes their whole. Basically, they're able to live paycheck to paycheck, take care of what they got to take care of, and then when they have a medical catastrophe, then everything goes into this whole wonky case where they got to find out where they got to get the money. That's where indigent care actually comes in. And
You could get an earache and get $100.
well, yeah, but you got insurance that can pay for that part. But it's you got to, and it's but it's not for kids. But it's not for kids. It's really not for kids. It's for adults.
Well, I thought
Yeah,
that's what it was for.
No, it's for
Indigent care.
indigent care is basically for adults with no children. Okay, it's also designated for people that are of older age that have a fixed income, such as Social Security or some type of program that they're not eligible for Medicare.
Like me and La Ma.
Pretty much.
Low-income.
Yeah. And so it's supposed to help out people of those areas that Medicaid or Medicare wouldn't cover.
I think that's what it is. I think they accept Medicare because I know somebody that was looking for somebody that took orthopedic Medicaid, and there's no doctors around here. But Black and Ridge did. They were the only ones, and Black and Ridge is the Dell's university now, and I think it helps subsidize that cost because Medicare doesn't pay a lot
Right.
to doctors. So most doctors don't accept it, but I think that Dell University is accepting it, and so maybe our tax dollars is going towards them. They're taking more Medicare people that are basically low income people and willing to do that where most doctors in the areas are no longer accepting Medicaid.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you got people that are expecting outreach services in Dove Springs or in
Like a clinic or
Austin's
something,
Colony.
huh?
Yeah, they're not going to get that. That's because that's
Yeah,
not.
I thought there'd be a clinic.
Well, because they were expecting that. That was the comments. But if you
Yeah.
read what's in there, they're not going to be doing that part at all. They don't care.
Citizens for Shared Governance. Rich.
Basically, what they're looking for is that they're looking for their piece of the pie, so that they can go ahead and take care of what they got to take care of for.
Got their own cut.
Yeah, they're saying, well, we're paying
Clay Smith.
Clint.
Clint Smith. He's been on the show a couple of times. He's a good guy, I guess. But his group, Citizens for Shared Governance, is going to have a press conference concerning that coming up in.
And let me guess, he's gonna claim racism. He's gonna claim discrimination, and then you're gonna have Mayor Adler sitting behind him saying,
Richard
"Oh yeah,
Franklin
we
showed up
agree."
for him, and
Yeah. and Adler's going to be there saying, we agree with you. We got a task force for you. We're going to help you out.
Well, the point I wanted to make was they opened their doors twice, and nobody showed up to go out there and tell them anything. And so now you want to have a press conference to tell how bad it is. But you had your opportunity to go in there and say something, and you're right. We were
What time
lied
was
to
it?
when we voted for
What
it.
time was it?
Huh?
What time was it?
They were late. I forget. I guess.
Oh, that's right. There was one like at 5:30 or 6:30 or something
Yeah, I
like
think
that
they're
they were
both
doing
like
that part.
6:30.
But there's no event. I mean, you gotta remember about people now, how we are with social media. We expect to see these events pop up.
Yeah, 10
and be able to get sponsored. I mean, you expect these events to get sponsored so people can see them. You know, if you're not if you're posting online saying, "Oh, well, we're here," and you're saying we're doing our due diligence there, and that's it, then you're not going to get anywhere. If you're not posting, let's face reality. If you're not posting on Facebook, you ain't getting anywhere. You ain't going to get squat.
Well, I miss going to these things. I don't hardly get out too much anymore.
And the media is not going to talk about them.
Yeah,
Really,
the
they're not
media's
going to talk about some of that
them.
stuff.
What was the meeting for? Was it a grand opening, or was it just
to
to
hear concerned citizens, their comments? They had food and everything.
concern about why we're paying this money, what it's
Where
going for?
the money's going to? Yeah.
Oh, well, if I knew about it, I would have gone.
The Bulldog's got a pretty good article on it. Ken Martin usually,
Oh,
he's a little left-leaning, but he's usually pretty good at.
so people are questioning why we are paying this and what it's for.
That's what it was basically for, I guess. And he's talking now, nobody showed up. And then I'm thinking about Clint Smith and shared governance going to have this thing. It's surely going to be bad mouthing them. And I'm thinking, well, you had your opportunity to go down there, but you're right, they didn't let anybody know.
I didn't know about it. I would have went.
Yeah, you would have gone.
Yeah.
You know, you try to promote it. I mean, and that's a big part that nobody realizes. That I mean, they will like. There were some surveys that were going on in Austin, but they always kept it on their Facebook. I mean, on their website, and that's it. And when they talk about, oh well, we had the survey, the X amount of people answered. No, it's because they had it only on their website. They're not posting it on the city of
You go
Austin.
that next door.
Right. And seriously, who uses Nextdoor?
Community organizing
Seriously,
thing.
who uses Nextdoor? Seriously.
I'm on it, but
Do
yeah.
you use it? No.
Not really.
You know why? Because we're right here on Facebook, right here.
Right.
We're right here,
Right.
and we're looking at what's going on.
I usually take a see on next door and put it on Facebook, so that if I think it's interesting enough. Which reminds me, they ain't never found those 2 dogs yet, Ma.
That's okay. It's only dogs. I'm just kidding. I should be saying that. I shouldn't be saying that, but
It's kind of, you're right. And I know that next door is a Democrat Obama community organizer site. That's what it's designed for.
right.
But I'm saying that we need to be using this stuff because
Right.
the
No, they-
progressives got all this.
You know,
kind of
it's
stuff
our
out
tax
there.
dollars, and I definitely would be there. It's the problem is there's so many taxing entities between your city council, your
Yeah.
school board, your ESD district. You could be ACC, and now we got this community tax that, you know, each one of them has a board of people that are elected, but who has time to go all of these meetings? And I try to go to as many as I
Yeah, that's
can,
true.
right? But, you know, who goes to their ESD meeting, right?
Yeah,
Their
you
emergent,
got
right? they're-
jobs and life, family,
Yeah,
and-
I mean, they have meetings every week. Our city council meets every 2 weeks. Our school board meets every month. I missed the last one, and I talked about capping our school taxes, and I wanted to go to the last one where they did set it, but it was just a lot of boards out there that it is hard to keep them
Joe,
informed.
can you play that, Mommy?
On which one? On which one? Where we're going
Pflugerville? You wanna
to?
go to Pflugerville now?
Yeah, let's go and segue into Pflugerville since
Okay.
you talked about it. There's
All
a
right.
video that
We
was
are
made.
trying to put together a Pflugerville candidate thing, right?
Yes, we are trying to put together a
go for it.
forum. And here's a little video I put together for there's 6 candidates running for Pflugerville City Council. 3 places up. Election is in November. And I try to get a lot of public information. Go ahead and play it if you can.
Yep, we got it up.
all of the candidates to the Trailer Park Show. I have now officially met every single one of them. Some of them I know a little bit better than others, and but they are all looking forward to being on here. And maybe we can do it for 2 hours. I don't know if an hour is long enough for 6 people, but we might.
We may have to split it up into two different areas.
If we go extra, we can only go half hour.
You can go a half hour extra.
No, that's always good. That's always good then. So just to
Let's split it up into 2 shows, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
So just to recap on this part, we got place 2. It's Jeff Marsh versus Adeline Ben-Bui.
Bui.
Place 4, you have George Lueck versus Rudolph Mateer or Rudy, and then place six you have Jim McDonald versus Victor Johnson. Now, one of the funny things about this whole thing, and I will say this to hats off to Larry. I won't mention his last name because I don't want to get in trouble. But there was a nice phrase for some of these candidates. Because it looks like some of these people are very, very friendly with the mayor. And we have gone to the point where now it is, the name has been given to them, these 3 of the candidates, as the cabal. Because the whole plan, the way it looks like is that they're trying to load a whole bunch of Democrats and even the progressives into city council. It's a nonpartisan, but seriously. I mean, you put down how they voted. Seriously, you've got. Let's put it this way, okay? You got Jeff Marsh. How many times did he vote Republican? How many times did he vote Democrat?
Once.
Once.
He did vote once.
Okay.
And I asked him about that last year, and it was because Victor Gonzalez, who's our current mayor of Pflugerville, was running for county commissioner. Oh. And he wanted to get him on the ballot. So he voted in the Democratic primary for that.
Okay.
He says he is a conservative. I do believe that he is. But he wanted Victor.
So he was helping out a friend.
Yes.
That works. And then you got Adeline. And my God. You got, well, it ain't me on that one. You got Adeline, who has not voted in Pflugerville. Or has not voted in Travis County.
I have not found any records.
There has been no records of her.
Just registered
in July. Now, here's the big part on this part, and I know people have talked about this, and she's talking about a whisper campaign going on. I'm bringing it out in the open right now. Okay. She hasn't voted in Travis County. She supposedly has been living in Pflugerville for 4 years. She owns a bar, but she has a home in Leander, a nice home that's close to $750,000 at value. Okay. Now, if she was this concerned about the city of Pflugerville, why hasn't she voted? Why didn't she register to vote for Obama? Why didn't she register to vote for Clinton? Okay. Why didn't she register to vote for anybody else in Travis County? She said she lived there in 4 years, right? So she had an opportunity to vote for Clinton. She had an opportunity to vote for Obama.
She is young.
She's not. How old? Is she over 20?
She's
21.
Yeah, I think. Actually, she's a few years younger than me, so she's 42 now.
Okay. Hey, guess what? I'm 45, and I voted, and I can tell you, I have voted more times, and either election or either in the general election or in a primary. Than anybody else. I mean, than almost anybody. I mean, I have voted out there, but I have voted. And for someone to say, I'm interested now, you got to ask whether the interest is something else because they wanted to find someone else to run against Jeff, or she's actually, for her to say now that I'm interested in politics, doesn't mean squat. I mean, she's got to show, I mean, for me, I'd be like, show proof of where you voted before and then we can talk. But you haven't been able to show proof.
Jeff is definitely a strong candidate. Remember, we need to get her.
Oh, I know, but if she can't handle those tough questions, how the heck is she going to be able to be a city council representative? How the heck is someone going to be able to say, "I got questions for you. Why don't you answer them?" Well, you know what she's going to do? She's going to close the door and say, "No questions. I'm sorry, I can't. You're attacking me." No, we're not attacking. We got questions. You can't handle those questions. Don't frickin' run.
Well, I'll say this. She is a business owner. She owns a number of businesses.
Okay.
Hanover's
is one where we had the Mentalk experience, yes.
I met her at the various city council meetings. She's been engaged. She's been listening. I haven't seen her speak at the meetings.
Because she's talking at the Democrat meetings that they have with the cabal.
Remember, this is a nonpartisan race.
You're right.
So she hasn't declared. We don't know what side of the aisle she is because she hasn't voted in.
She's running against Jeff. Come on.
Pretty obvious. isn't it?
Pretty she's hanging around with Victor. Come on, she's hanging around with Victor, with the mayor, who's a Democrat. Come on, and I like Victor. I'm telling you right now, I like the guy. I mean, him and I have talked. He's pretty cool. I don't have any problems with him. But come on, he's hanging. If she was that interested, she'd be hanging out in other places besides city council.
Probably so. But
Why hasn't she gone to the Fluker
this is
Republican
a
Club
city council
beforehand?
race. It's not partisan.
You're right.
And I've seen the city council make decisions that you might question. It's not a left or right thing. A lot of times, some people that you think wouldn't, they had a vote on having an invocation, a prayer at city council. And you know who voted for that? Victor. Victor did vote.
He's a good
to have
Catholic.
prayer. Yeah.
He's a good Catholic.
And Jeff Marsh did not. Doug Weiss did, and Mike Marsh, who is a strong conservative. So you never know. And a lot of times in these local races, people become much more liberal than you would think. At a couple meetings ago, they had a resolution that I spoke out against. The resolution was against all of the state laws about local control, right? Limiting property taxes, pushing from 8% to 4%.
Right.
Having people vote on annexation, right? Preventing spending one and a half times more in inflation. So I said I was against the resolution. The resolution said basically that they were against the state for proposing those resolutions. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think it's okay to
I think it's good.
have people vote for annexation and prevent property tax. Well, it was unanimous. The entire city council voted for the resolution,
Yeah.
including the most conservative. Well, Mike wasn't there, but the people that were there did vote for it. And I talked to him. I campaigned before that, saying, "Hey, this is about freedom. This is about local control on a
It's about the
personal
dollar.
level, right?" But they still voted because they wanted the control. They wanted to be the liberal city council that dictated our tax rates and voted. They didn't want the people to vote on it.
Yeah.
So I think in city councils, we got to take the partisan out of it. And so I've only met her at the city council. I want to get to know her. I want to have a one-on-one, and hopefully she can explain, why she hasn't gotten involved. But I won't rule her out. And she is Asian. I am part of Texas Asian Republican. I would love to support her. Right now,
You're gonna support
I
a
don't
Democrat?
know if I can.
You're gonna support a Democrat?
But no. Well, that's the thing. I'll say that just because she's Asian and I'm Asian, I'm not gonna lay down on my principles for race. If she doesn't believe in the same principles that I believe, limited government, freedom and liberty, then I'll be voting for somebody else.
Right.
But I would love to have her support. She has a similar background as me. She was an immigrant from Vietnam. So I would love to ask her how, I'll see where she stands on the issues, ask about her background, and see why she thinks the way she does. Right now, yes, it does look suspicious that she is hanging out with a certain crowd.
The cabal,
So-
yes, she's part of. I mean, I'll say it. She's part of the cabal. I know you don't like me saying it, but she's part of the cabal there.
You
I mean,
like the cabal saying it's
Well, I don't like
There's a certain
labels
group
in
they wanna take
general
over.
because people have different concept of, you call
Cabal,
somebody
yeah.
a cabal or left or right, and then instantly, we have our biases when you do that. And so this is a city council race, so I would like to take those labels out of it, ask them where they stand on property taxes. Where do they stand on this pecan district that they want to build? Where do they stand on having prayer at the city council members? Talk about real things that come up, and then the labels, we can assign that later.
So here's the bottom line of this part, and this is what I'll put in. You have a conservative versus a liberal in each race. It is basically a conservative versus a liberal. I mean, look at the people that are running. I mean, you have Rudy, who is kind of on the fence on both sides. He's got some conservative values from what I've seen, but then you have Jim, who's very progressive. You have Jim. You have. You have George that's running against Rudy. So you may have. I'm not sure about George.
George, I met him today. He's a retired civil engineer, worked in Killeen, worked for the state. He's never voted in a primary. He's only voted in election. He does know Mike Heat, who is very conservative. They went to school together. And Mike has actually done some work with him. I haven't really detected what side of the fence this guy's on. As a civil servant, you typically would think they're probably a
Right.
little more liberal, but he's a civil engineer, so he's a builder. I'm
That
an
would make
engineer.
it more
So
conservative.
generally, they
Engineers?
can. But you know,
Well,
he built
engineers
roads.
I know that are.
But he builds parks and roads, and he has a plan for Pflugerville for building up our image, how we look. So, you know, I'm gonna take him for his word, and I never ask about what side of the political spectrum they are, but I'll compare that with Rudy, who I've seen around in many meetings. He has a lot of respect from people, but he's a lawyer. I personally don't like lawyers, but you know, I'm an engineer, so I'm going to side with the engineer. But Rudy does go to my church. We're both Catholic. People say he has conservative values. So, you know, that one I'm up in the air, you know, right now.
Right.
Between I talk to until I
Any
talk to him.
plans out there in Pflugerville to expand your airport?
Our executive airport, I haven't heard of any.
No, the big part that they're working on right now is a nice $1.2 billion property that that they're trying to build with. It's kind of a funky thing on this whole thing.
Oh yes, yeah, that was at the They're trying to.
That's part of the pecan district, right?
$1.2 billion, and they want to set up a mud to get 15 million and a TERS to get 118 million. And if you don't know what a TERS is, it's basically a way of financing where they take excess property tax dollars above a base level and throw it into that division. So they
Sounds like lawyer talk.
So correct me if I'm wrong on this part. So bottom line was that the properties that are being built there and the homes that they're already paying taxes or that they're already paying a mortgage on, let's say for example, the property taxes that are on there go into a different bucket that's not affiliated with the city just yet, and they're basically paying for the upkeep and the development of this area.
Right. When they set up the TERS, all the homes that are there, let's say there's $1 million of property tax there, that goes to the city. Now, in subsequent years, if the property value goes to $2 million, that extra $1 million can't go to the city. It goes back into redevelopment in that area. It has to be spent on that area.
Right.
And usually what it does is they issue bonds, more debt, and they pay it off with that extra, the increment. That's why it's called tax increment zone something, and that's where the increment comes from.
So is the property elevated on that area?
In theory, it would be.
It would be.
Right.
So the money that they're receiving in there,
Any
doesn't-
additional above when they set the base rate
Right.
would go back into that.
into that district, which if you're raising the property value on that one, unnaturally, I guess that's when you can get that extra money on that
They would
part.
get that extra money. I guess Falcon Point has this TERS set up, and you know I don't know what they're paying for. I was gonna contact the chairman, Mike Marsh, to find out what are you guys doing, because it looks like all HOAs, a big homeowners association, and they have this TERS set up, and I don't know what they're using that money for, because there's no retail
Right.
shops in this division. But they're trying to do. But what I find suspicious is it's 1.2 billion, and the developer will pay 1.1 billion, and they need this last 100 million setting up this mud and this TERS. And I have to ask myself why. But I did ask George, and he said, well, if they set it up, then they get better financing from the banks, because they're actually, the developer isn't putting 1.1 billion of their own money, they're borrowing it too. But if they have city backing, where the city approves this mud and this TERS,
You're getting into a conversation that's going to take more than 2 minutes.
Well, true.
That's what we're running out of.
So, but it's a complicated thing, and you know.
No, it's not. It's 2 minutes.
Okay.
Actually, we got a minute and a half.
tried to
Well,
explain
we'll.
something
I know, and that's understandable. This is one of those things where we're gonna have
We
to.
should have probably two, if we can't go up enough to have the Pflugerville off, because there's a lot going on out there. I understand that much.
We can have 3 different shows with
Pflugerville
each place. So
Then we
Yeah,
need
we
to do
could
it in
do
a
that,
hurry, because before long after that, we can start on our own
That might
county
be better, yeah.
politics.
Instead of feeling
Right.
rushed, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see how it goes.
So yeah, I guess we only get so many shows, and it would be nice to get a complete thing done on Pflugerville, because it is an important. It's a major part of the economic picture for Travis County,
right.
so it is important.
So no show next week.
No show next week. We'll be on 7:30 week after that, and it looks like maybe some misinformation. Some looting has been reported in Houston.
Oh, you see, there you go.
I shouldn't
There
say
you
nothing
go.
else.
Yes.
Thank you, ATB. right? Anyway, with 30 seconds left, yeah, we won't be back next week. We will be back a week after that at 7:30. And thank y'all for. You're gonna bring these people on, ain't you? You already know them.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring them on.
Well, just
Yeah.
pick a date.
If they don't want me on the show, let me know. I'll be happy to sit back and just kind of.
Everybody's Kabul. I mean,
You should bring your wife on the show. She's on city council.
Well, she is, but she's not running it. She's not. There's
No,
not.
as a host.
Well, she can be. Well, she can be as a guest, but she can't come on as a host because there's some.
And Maynard and Pflugerville are real close together.
All righty, folks. We'll see you guys to next week or 2 weeks. Bye.
Adios.